session. It's a session on how to build a profile that tells your professional story and connect to opportunity using LinkedIn. So as Pat mentioned, my name is Claire Jennings and I'm a relationship manager on the sales solutions team at LinkedIn. So before we dive in, let me give you a better idea of how we'll be using our time today and what you can expect from this session. So let's take a look at our agenda for today. So what we'll do first is I'm going to spend a few minutes going through helping you to understand what LinkedIn is, what we're about, what our mission is, because this is going to help you really understand the importance of having a profile. And then, yes, why, and especially now during this current climate, why it's important to have a digital brand. Then we will dive into your profile, your professional story, and then going beyond your LinkedIn profile, what you can do on the platform. And then we will move on to Q&A at the end, and then we will wrap up. So let's kick off by introducing you to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is all about you, your professional community, and helping you connect to opportunity. We don't get anywhere alone. It takes a community of people to help us be successful. After all, success is when who you are lines up with what you do. So let's take a look at what LinkedIn is all about. So at LinkedIn, we define vision as our true north. It's our dream as a company. It's what drives us every day at LinkedIn. So our vision is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. Our vision is followed by our mission. So we define mission as our overarching objective. It's something realizable, measurable, and ideally inspirational. And ours is to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. So now that you have a better idea of LinkedIn as a company, let's talk a little bit more about our network. So how does LinkedIn create value for you? The answer to that question can be summed up by our value proposition. So our overarching value proposition at LinkedIn, it's to connect to opportunity. While LinkedIn isn't the be all to end all solution, we can be the stepping stone to connect you to opportunity. So let's talk about how you can leverage the power of LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has some powerful data, tools, and insights that can help you connect to opportunity. This starts with our professional community, where we have over 722 million members and 2 new members joining every second in over 200 countries and territories. We have over 50 million companies, millions of open jobs listed on LinkedIn, over 36,000 skills featured on the platform, and over 90,000 universities. In terms of jobs and getting hired, more than 34 million job seekers visit LinkedIn Jobs every week. LinkedIn members submit 55 job applications every second and more than 130 million job applications every month. There's also more than over 11 million active job listings at any one time. In terms of getting hired, on LinkedIn, applicants are nearly 3 times more likely to get a job at a company where they already have a connection there. Candidates who complete LinkedIn skill assessments are up to 20% more likely to get hired than those who don't. And applying within the first 10 minutes of receiving a relevant job notification can increase your chances of hearing back by up to 4 times greater. Members have gained 3.8 million skill assessment badges since we launched this feature in September 2019. And another piece that I want to touch on is LinkedIn Learning, which has, since the onset of the pandemic, people have really leaned into. So LinkedIn Learning, we've made over 600 LinkedIn Learning courses free across 7 languages to help members build skills for in-demand jobs like sales representatives, graphic designers, digital marketers, and hone fundamental soft skills needed to navigate the challenging work environments that many people are currently facing. One thing we did see is professionals watch nearly 4 times the amount of LinkedIn Learning content in June 2020 than they did a year ago. Now that you have a better idea of the power of LinkedIn and you've gotten a better feeling for the company and what we do, I'd love to shift a gear and shine a spotlight back on all of you. So your LinkedIn profile is a digital portfolio that represents you and tells your professional story. I like to say to think of it less as a resume or a CV and more as a dynamic digital portfolio that's engaging, it's visual, it highlights your experience and skills to help you build your professional presence online. So let's kickstart this section by giving you some best practice recommendations to strengthen key parts of your LinkedIn profile. And we'll start off with the photo. So when you're thinking about your LinkedIn profile photo, make sure that you select a photo that truly represents you. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to tell your professional community who you are. It can be a professional it can be a professional headshot. You can, of course, ask a professional photographer, and there's lots of great photographers out there who are more than willing to do a headshot for you. But it doesn't have to be a professional headshot. If you take a photo on your own phone, a lot of our phones are high resolution, take great quality pictures nowadays. It's that can be perfect as well. And a lot of people aren't aware of this, but when LinkedIn has a photo filter that you can use to polish your photo, and you can use them by clicking on the pencil when you upload your photo to edit the photo and make sure it fits well into the photo section. After adding a photo, the next most important thing to do is to update or add your industry. Adding your industry is really important. Often it's how others are going to find you and add you to their professional network. In addition, adding your industry will give you 9 times more profile views. Members with industry information are discovered up to 38 times more in recruitment searches. It's very simple to do. Just click on the pencil at the top of your profile where your headshot is, where your headshot and your name is, and scroll down to edit or add your industry. So next up is, let's talk about your summary. So I always say the best thing to do is to think of your summary as your elevator pitch. It should include an introduction to you and also highlight your accomplishments and aspirations. We strongly recommend to keep it short and sweet. There's no need to list all of your career accomplishments. You'll have an experience section below for all of that detail. Feel free to highlight your unique talents, how you want to contribute to a company, and put in some interesting facts as well. I always think that it's important to come across as being human as well, and maybe sprinkle in mention something you like to do in your free time. And in your free time, you enjoy cooking, travel, whatever it might be. A lot of these companies are hiring, of course, they're hiring for your skills, your expertise, but they're hiring people too, and likability and interest outside of work is, these are the pieces that make you more human and personable as well. And then an interesting fact, so adding a summary of 40 words or more makes your profile more likely to turn up in future employers' searches. So keep that in mind. It's a key important feature of your profile to have completed. So following the summary is your experience. Experience it's really your opportunity to tell your professional story and talk about your accomplishments within each role that you've had. A great way to showcase your experience is to write it in short paragraph form rather than bullet point. You can use a couple of bullet points here and there, but the majority should read like a story, your professional story. If you've worked at a startup company or a smaller company that isn't as well known, give a brief introduction to that company before detailing your experience. Lastly, it's great to talk about what you did in your role. It's even better to showcase the impact you had, results that you delivered, and changes that you created. So to be more specific and give you some examples, if, for example, if you think about reading a person's profile, and maybe put yourself in the shoes of a recruiter who's busy looking at hundreds of profiles every day, numbers and figures are the things that jump out at us. So maybe you grew a portfolio or a part of the business by 10% or 50%. If you've great little figures about achievements that you had in projects, maybe that you did at university, whatever it might be, put them in. It's those quantifiable insights that will jump out, and that will be really helpful for people looking at your profile. So next, let's talk about rich media. So rich media is a photo, a video, a presentation, or anything else that visually enhances your profile and makes it more dynamic. And this is the great thing about your LinkedIn profile versus the traditional 1 or 2 page CV that we all know so well. With a LinkedIn profile, you can really add so much more color and vitality to your online professional CV, so to speak. It helps connect people to what you do by adding rich media to your experience. Keep in mind, it doesn't have to be content you own. For example, if your company that you work for at the moment has a brand video or company brand assets, you can use them in your profile, especially in your experience section. Or maybe it's photographs of a project that you're a part of, you and the project team, or maybe in your volunteer section, which I'll get to in a moment, it's a picture of a fundraiser that you participated in. So yeah, next section is that I'll move on to next. Last but not least is the volunteer and causes section. So adding volunteer experience is a great way to round out your professional identity and uniquely tell your story. Make sure to you add your volunteer experience and give a quick 1 to 2 sentence description of what you do for that specific organization. Almost half of all hiring managers say they view volunteer experience as equivalent to formal work experience. It's an important part of your professional identity, and it really rounds out who you are as a person as well, to show organizations and nonprofit organizations that maybe you're passionate about. So next up is adding skills and getting endorsed. So adding skills is really to showcase what you're great at. Adding at least 5 or more skills can get you up to 17 times more profile views. Professionals also search key skills across LinkedIn, so it's another great way to get found by your network. Remember, you are in full control of your skills. You choose what order they get displayed in and who endorsed you for what. You also control what skills get featured on your profile and which ones don't. So skills are a quick way to showcase what you're good at. Now let's shift a gear and talk about recommendations. So recommendations, they're a great way to build your professional credibility. If you don't already have them, request a recommendation from a colleague, a manager, a partner. I think it's a really valuable thing to do. And here's a couple of things to keep in mind when you are requesting a recommendation from someone. Always customize your request. Make sure you let the person know what you want to be recommended for specifically, such as a certain project, an initiative you led. When you do make the request, especially if you're asking a senior leader or an executive, sometimes you can write a first pass and send that on to them. This really helps save them the time and gives them something to work with that they can edit and make their own. You can even send them an outline to work with. And then finally, choose people who you have worked with closely and who can provide specific examples of your strengths, your skills, and experience that you want to show up. And then before we move on to building thought leadership, in terms of your LinkedIn profile, some key things not to forget. Make sure you add or update your location. This is going to really help you to discover opportunities and connections in your area. And also as well, when LinkedIn email you jobs that you might be interested in, it's important that you've added this detail so that we know, our AI and algorithms in the background know to send you jobs in your location. So it's as simple as that. Education is also really important to add. You can choose where in your profile it gets displayed. And as well, these type of things are great to feature in your accomplishment sections too. A question I often get asked about education is, how far back do you go? It really depends where you are in your career. If you're just starting off, maybe you've just finished your education, then I mean, leverage as much of that data or as much of that information and detail and experience as you like. So now that we've talked about how to take your profile specifically to the next level, let's talk about how you can build thought leadership on the LinkedIn platform. So LinkedIn is a place where you can share your insights, expertise, and opinions with your professional community. There's two great ways for you to share your professional perspective on LinkedIn. The first way to share your perspective is quick and high touch through status updates. The second is your opportunity to explore a topic in more detail through publishing. So what's the difference? Sharing updates is a way for you to quickly share your knowledge, perspective, and insight on what you care about, whereas publishing content is a way for you to explore a topic by writing in long-form posts. Here's how you get started. Getting started by sharing a status update on your homepage. You'll see the share box at the top right when you sign in to LinkedIn. There's a couple of things that can help you share status updates and stand out from the crowd. So let's talk through what some of these are. I'll just ask again that everyone go on mute. There's a little bit of background noise. So the first thing is share your authentic voice. LinkedIn is a platform where you can have your voice heard by your professional community. Be authentic, stay on brand, and show up consistently. We also recommend to post frequently. By sharing frequently, you create more opportunities for you and your content to be discovered. One tip is to add a reminder to your calendar to post something once a week or every few days. Start a conversation. So post something quick and snappy that engages your professional community. Pose a question and provide your perspective on a current event or an article and give an insider point of view. The more people engaging with your content or your posts, the more it's going to get shared and noticed in your feed. And again, include some rich media, including photos and videos to help your posts stand out. Posts that include rich media get a lot more comments and a lot more likes. And then think about reciprocity. When posting a status update, think of things you can share that will benefit your professional community. This also goes the other way. Use status updates to pose a question or get insights and thoughts from professionals that you really care about. So now that we've talked through some best practices around sharing updates, let's talk a little bit about publishing on LinkedIn and how you can leverage LinkedIn to share your voice, unique perspective, and your point of view. So publishing content, it's a great way for you to explore topics that matter to you and to share your expertise and insights with your professional community. Remember, when you publish content on LinkedIn, it becomes part of your profile. It gets shared with your network and it reaches the largest group of professionals. Once you've published content, people can follow you to stay on top of what you say and what you post on LinkedIn. Publishing content on LinkedIn, it's a great way to establish thought leadership within a community of professionals who really matter to you. So how does publishing work? So similar to sharing status updates, you can get started on your homepage. If you select the Write an Article tab, this allows you to get started. Now, let's talk through some quick tips on how you can bring your expertise front and center and have your voice heard on LinkedIn. So first things first, create a headline that is capturing. Creating a headline that stands out is the most important piece. As I'm sure, as you're all aware, when you're scrolling down through a news feed on whatever platform it is, we all read the headline first, and it's depends on how interesting that headline is whether you're going to click in and read down any further. So ask yourself, would you click on it yourself if you were having a busy day? And again, back to the rich media, include a photo to really stand out. Always make sure you add a cover photo as well as photos throughout your article to break up the content. Articles with cover photos get more views and comments than those without. And again, and we always say it, be authentic. Make sure you show up as your authentic self. You have a lot of experience and expertise, and people want to hear your views, your insights, and your perspective. As well as that, think about your audience. Remember to think about your audience and really what would they benefit from? Tailor your content to give back to your professional community. And finally, article length really matters. You can write a long form post, but make sure it isn't too long. We see that the sweet spot for article length is anywhere between 600 and 1,000 words. So the best part about publishing content on LinkedIn is that you have the ability to track metrics and analytics on your published content. Simply click the View Stats button within your published article to pull up analytics that will help you target the professionals who can benefit most from your perspective and your expertise. As well as that, track your progress regularly to see how your content resonates with your professional community. Make sure as well to understand how to follow and unfollow companies and influencers. Know how to access settings to customize your feed. And as well as that, it's really important to use the platform as a way to gain knowledge for yourself and follow people and influencers that you're really interested in. That's at a high level, but another great way to use the platform is as networking opportunities and to engage with people in your community that you would like to reach out to and maybe ask to be mentored, so on and so forth. LinkedIn, it's a great way to help you stay on top of news, content, companies, and professionals that matter most to you. So what I'm going to transition to in now is talking about following companies specifically. So stay connected to companies, as I mentioned, that matter most to you by following them. And you can do this by going to a company page on LinkedIn, simply search for them at the search box at the top of your profile, and then go to their company profile and hit the follow tab. This means that you're going to get updates in real time about what that company is doing, and stay on top of news about them, trends, new product launches. In addition to following companies, you can gain insights by following LinkedIn influencers. So follow industry influencers to stay on top of key trends, topics, insights from the people that you respect and the people that you admire. When you follow an influencer, you can see their activity across LinkedIn in the feed. In addition to gaining industry insight and staying informed of what matters to you, you can also leverage LinkedIn to find what you care about. LinkedIn has advanced search filters to help you find what matters most very quickly. So searching for jobs, companies, or people, you can turn on your desired filter to get all the most relevant search results. So now that I've covered how to follow companies, influencers, plus searching at scale, let's talk about how you can customize your LinkedIn experience through your news feed. So as a member of the LinkedIn platform, we give you full control over your LinkedIn feed. We want to empower our members to be able to consume the content that matters most to them. You can manage your feed preferences by clicking on the 3 dots on the top right of any post and select Improve My Feed. You can follow or unfollow people, companies, and influencers. You can hide posts that aren't relevant to you anymore by clicking again on the 3 dots on the top right and select Hide Post. You can also report inappropriate content if you ever see it, and it will flag that to our team, so we will pull it out of the feed. So that is the end of the section about your LinkedIn profile and how to leverage the platform. Next up is Q&A. So this is the part that I find we get lots of interesting questions, and I will do my very best to answer as many of them as possible. I can't promise that I'll answer everything. There's a lot to know about LinkedIn, but Pat, could we have some
Claire,
questions?
Thank you so much for that. That was really interesting, I must say. And I'm a big advocate and fan of LinkedIn. I think it's a really good platform, and it's really beneficial, and it gives a lot of assistance to a lot of people all over the space, but particularly in this moment. And we have a stream of questions coming in. So, for example, Desmond there was asking, can you upload a voice recording of an article? And if so, in what sort of format? And how one would upload? Is that permissible, or is that kind of something that you would recommend over a text-based article?
That's a very good question, a question I've never had. I'm not aware that we have that functionality. So
Okay.
I don't think we have that just yet, but it's an interesting one. So
Desmond, there's an opportunity for you there to
yeah.
reach out kind of and get yourself a nice sinecure in a niche area of LinkedIn. So Katrina has asked us, would it be possible, Claire, for you to outline the features and benefits of joining and upgrading to premium LinkedIn over relative benign LinkedIn, which is what a lot of people would be on? What's the features and benefits? Or is it just something recruiters use when they're looking for a job?
Really good question. So in terms of and I'm sure you've probably all seen the LinkedIn premium profile subscriptions that you can sign up to. Now there are multiple different types. There are subscriptions for, as you mentioned, recruiters. So if you're using the platform to hire talent, and there's subscriptions for business people wanting to, I suppose, just network better. There is one particularly, and I think this is a good one for graduates or people looking to change roles. I know I used it a couple of years ago when I was in the market looking for a new role, and it's called a LinkedIn Job Seeker subscription. And what that one is it's going to help you get your profile pushed in front of recruiters. And when a recruiter does a search, you'll show up higher in the search results. You'll also notice with that subscription that when you look at job postings, you'll get a lot more insights about that job posting, such as you'll be able to see, I think, if 300 other people have applied, what those other applicants are like. Are they third level educated? What location, geographic location, and some bits and pieces like that it'll give you. Now, if you're not interested in signing up to a subscription, that's absolutely fine, but you still want to use the platform to get a job or get a new job or change industry, whatever it might be. In your settings, you can go into your settings and you can change your profile settings so that you're either open to being contacted by recruiters or you're not open to being contacted by recruiters. In other words, you're happy where you are, please don't contact me, or you're happy where you are, but you're still open to having a chat about an opportunity at another company, another industry. That's a good one to avoid recruiters contacting you when you're happy where you are, or B, if you're like, do you know what, I'd like to put the feelers out there and see what's going on. Or if you're like, look, I want recruiters, I don't want to pay for a subscription, but I want recruiters to know that I'm open. Like my profile is, I'm open for people to reach out to me. So that's a good one. And there's no charge. You don't have to pay any extra for that. So that's one I recommend doing now.
So that's a LinkedIn Christmas gift that keeps on giving all year round. Okay, excellent. And Claire, Paul O'Reilly has been kind enough to ask, he was curious, for say, a lot of our folks would be self-employed consultants, for example, or they're super niche in terms of their skill sets. So he's using an example, he works across various industries. So what should he put in for industry in the sections?
That's a very good question, because I think you can only pick one industry.
Yeah.
I would suppose, because you can only pick one industry, pick the one where you're predominantly doing most of your work. Probably that doesn't answer the question very well.
But perhaps I could make a suggestion to LinkedIn. Perhaps you should put in the industry section professional services.
Yeah, I think that could be one that could be there already.
Is it? Okay. Well,
yeah.
Paul, if it is there, maybe that could be the way to, because you are in the consultancy area, so that might be a catch-all.
Typically, we would internally, like when we're thinking about industries, professional services and anything consultative would come under that bracket for us internally in terms of how we our definition of things, as well as that in your job summary or your job title section,
Yeah.
you can then customize that or elaborate a bit more detail about what you're doing. So I wouldn't worry too much about the industry. It's as important as it is. There's other areas, your profile, where you can illustrate what specifically you're doing across different industries.
Okay. And just, I mean, Jessica asked a good question. I mean, given that many young professionals in the industry gain work experience predominantly on a volunteer basis, okay, which is very worthy and to be recommended. But would you recommend that they rather list them under the volunteer or experience section? You know, will the algorithm, the LinkedIn algorithm, read them differently or construe them differently in terms of the ranking?
I would say keep the volunteering section for the more charity type things. And if you have work experience, for example, where you did work experience for a company and might not have gotten paid, or you were volunteering, put that in work experience.
So interning, for example, would be in work experience,
Yeah.
clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And Sive was asking, is there a way to apply to have the showcase services module added to the options for her profile, or is there a method to make that more likely to happen?
Say that to me again, so I fully understand.
Yeah. Fair play, Sive. Is there a way to apply to have the showcase services module added to the options for her profile, or is there a method to make that more likely to happen?
Don't know. I might have to take that one offline if she wants to reach out to me directly, and we can have a chat about it, because I'm not sure exactly. I want to give the right answer, I want to make sure I fully understand exactly what she's talking about. So if she could reach out to me directly, that would be great.
And Kavish says he's uploaded his CV into the form of a video under a website. Is there a way to redirect the employers to the video through LinkedIn, or would you prefer to put the link in the summary?
Put the link in the summary, I think.
I would have thought so. Yeah, that'd be the most efficient manner.
Yeah.
And Desmond was asking, what does one have to do to remotely update a client's profile from his computer? So he's obviously third party, kind of keeping people's profiles updated and so on, as maybe as a service. I haven't seen that before, but I guess there's a new market.
Think that's something we would. I don't think that's something, like, we very much pride ourselves on the data on our platform is self-authored by the individual members themselves. So that's what we're relying on.
So Desmond, we're going to say that's a hypothetical question,
Yeah.
Okay, just for clarity, and mindful of GDPR implications there as well.
Yeah.
So moving swiftly on. So in language, Claire, I mean, it's a really powerful vehicle. It's global and the numbers are staggering. But one of the great features, for instance, is the ability to have your CV in different languages. And what's your thoughts in terms of what would be the best languages? Obviously, we're operating in English, but I mean, Mandarin is a very powerful language in terms of the amount of people that speak it. Which ones would you choose? German, Spanish, or any, or, you know? And I did slag you earlier that clearly there's an apartheid going on, that Irish and the users of Irish were not being kind of getting any love there from Connemara was an outpost kind of in LinkedIn. But
I will feed that one back to our product engineering team.
So it's
in terms of the languages, I think I would say English first and foremost. But when a viewer clicks onto your profile, you'll see a little, I think it comes up as a question on the screen. I can't actually remember exactly what it looks like. Would you like, or maybe, would you like this translated? So for instance, frequently I have lots of clients in Spain and France, and because of their location and their country, their profiles are in French and Spanish. But when I go onto their profiles, it'll say, would you like this translated? And within a second or two, it'll translate it to English for me. So I suppose it's whatever language you want most. Don't worry about if it's a recruiter from some other non-English speaking country across the globe. Most likely it'll be translated for them. Okay,
thank you. And David asked Claire, I mean, when powerful presentation in Gramila Mahagat, but as someone who wants to become a business lecturer, as he does in the future, perhaps, would you recommend it to be better to upload posts from himself, or share from professional sources, or what's the mix ratio?
I think it's a good mix to have both. It can be a lot of labor and time to be creating and publishing content yourself every week. I know I certainly wouldn't have the time every week to be typing up and publishing an article completely composed by myself, but maybe every couple of months I might do one. But the rest of the time, the things I'm posting and are things that I might share something that our LinkedIn or Microsoft company page has shared, and I'll reshare it with my own little blurb about it. That's quick and easy. So a good mix of both. Depends on how much time you have.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's that perennial question in terms of thought leadership and kind of trying to position yourself within that space as a thought leader in the special skill set that you're working in. And there is that perennial sort of debate about kind of sharing too much information as well. So to that to that point, Brendan was asking, when you publish an article on LinkedIn, what is the ownership situation with it?
That's a very good question.
The IP ownership of the knowledge that's shared.
I don't know. I would need to get back to you on that one about the specifics, because that's something I wouldn't want to answer it incorrectly.
No, absolutely. And I would imagine, Brendan, it is quasi-public domain. So if you're putting it out there, people will share. So I think I would imagine the answer is, I'm not paraphrasing, but you're putting it out there in a public platform to share the knowledge, and people will repost it. So I would imagine it's a quid pro quo on that one. But I'll defer to Claire as the guru in these areas, and we can get a more granular answer for you. And Francesco, Claire, was asking, is it good practice to share our LinkedIn profile URL in meetings like this, for example, or is it better or preferred to share our name? So like, and that's actually to that end, the other question is, I find myself sometimes when you're looking for your LinkedIn kind of address, for example, where exactly is it? What's the best one to share? Is it kind of where you look at on the top, LinkedIn at Pat.Downs or wherever, or what's the one that you recommend?
So it's hard to talk this through while I can't share my screen and show you, but the URL, you can customize that, because typically the URL for your LinkedIn profile, when you create your profile, it's a long technical, not nice to look at thing. You can customize that to make it a little bit shorter, and it'll be at linkedin.com/Claire Jennings, something niche like that. You can customize that, and the reason we allow people to customize that is so that they'll share a lot more easy, and they can plug it into here, there, and everywhere.
And where is that on the page, Claire? I can share my page here if you want, if that's of any benefit.
That would be helpful.
Now I'm just going to have to take you off share, if that's okay, for a second. And I will put up now. Can you see that?
Bear with me. Yes. So if you click on your profile, so Patrick Downs over on the left-hand side.
There?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then click on contact info. See the link, you see the first tab, your profile, that's the link that I would share with people.
Okay, so if everyone has got that, because that is a question we get asked regularly, and people can struggle sometimes to find for insertion into virtual business cards, for example, or on the websites and so on. So that's the link you want to get to, I think.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. I'll come out of that and we'll go back in. So some more questions, and I'm conscious of your time, and thank you so much. So Claire, just on etiquette, okay, we get a lot of questions on etiquette as well, in terms of that caring is sharing, and clearly it's not Facebook, so it is a professional platform, and people sometimes lose the run of themselves with exuberance or boredom or whatever, and maybe posting stuff that may kind of veer into the inappropriate personal level, what's your own kind of views, or what's the etiquette? What's the proper kind of level of sharing?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a professional, like LinkedIn is it's a platform for connecting professionals, and you have to always remember that. So if you want to be sharing and posting stuff about your personal life, there's other platforms for that. So, and as remember as well that you're on here to showcase yourself. Think about the fact that future employers are going to be looking at this, and you want to put your best foot forward. And what would you and what wouldn't you want them to see? So don't post holiday pics with the family. Make sure your profile picture isn't of you and a glass of wine. Facebook is for that one. Though that would be my main thing. And then in terms of going a little bit further on etiquette, a lot of the time I get asked, people are, because LinkedIn and having an online brand, it's so new to people, they're still quite nervous, and they're like, I don't know what to do. What are the do's and the don'ts? First thing I would say is, if you're a little bit afraid of it, or you're a little bit maybe lacking in confidence, and don't know how to sell yourself, because I come across, that's a big thing for people. They don't know how to big themselves up, or talk about themselves in a positive light. Have a look at other people's profiles and get a feel for what other people are saying, and people in your industry, and you'll get a feel for what you like and what you don't like, and you'll get a feel for, oh, that really resonates with me, and I do that, and I never thought about saying it like that or wording it like that. And that's a great way to get inspiration, ideas, if you're really afraid and you don't know what to do. And then to go a little bit further again in terms of etiquette, like, the platform is there for not just connecting you to get a job, it's connecting you with to get business opportunities, networking opportunities, mentoring opportunities. Don't ever be afraid to, if there's someone, maybe a business leader or someone in your industry that you would love to be someday, and you find them really inspiring, reach out to them, send them a message, say, look, and be specific, keep it short and sweet, and don't start spending a long time typing about yourself. Say, I'd love to meet for a virtual coffee is probably the most realistic at the moment. I'd love to meet for a virtual coffee. I find you really inspiring in your role, and someday I'd love to get into a role like yours. I'd love to learn from you, and maybe mention 2 or 3 things that you'd like to get out of that virtual coffee with them. Because people are busy, and they're going to be like, okay, what exactly do you want me to talk about with you? And don't be afraid to reach out. Like, maybe not the Richard Bransons of the world, they're busy, you might not get a response from them, but again, in people in your industry that maybe you're not connected to, you don't know anyone who knows them to make that introduction for you, don't be afraid to use LinkedIn to message them and ask for maybe a once off virtual coffee mentorship thing, and if that goes well, it can be a continual mentoring relationship. Every 3 to 6 months you meet up and catch up about and get career advice from them. But I think people are afraid to do that, but especially nowadays when we're not meeting face to face and those opportunities aren't there, do not be afraid to use the LinkedIn platform to connect with mentors and leaders that will help you along the way. And as well, getting a job nowadays, so much of it is about not what you know, but who you know. And that person that maybe you reached out to for virtual coffee 2 years ago, down the line, an opportunity might come along and you might need to leverage that connection you made 2 years ago.
Claire, that's a very valid point in terms of, I suppose, reaching out to people. And, as we approach the end of the year, the best of times, the worst of times, in terms of LinkedIn generally, it's been a real roller coaster of a ride over the last kind of couple of years in terms of the growth patterns that you've seen and experienced. What's next for LinkedIn in terms of, next year, 2021? What should we look forward to in terms of what's the next evolution within the story? Or do we have, anything to look forward to in terms of our profiles for next year that you could share with us at this point?
That's a good question. like you, I a lot of it's so top secret that I'm not even told about it until 2 or 3 months ahead of time. I think like one of the things, like, because I work as my role in LinkedIn is I work with our clients, and a lot of the things that we get fed back is you're updating and making changes too quickly that we cannot keep up with it, slow it down a bit. I think that's kind of a good complaint to hear. So I think it'll keep evolving. One of the big successes we've seen this year is the LinkedIn live video, where you can video yourself, similar to an Instagram story. For people who are aware what an Instagram story is, you can now do a LinkedIn story, and that is really, I don't think we were sure how people would react to it, but that's taken up a lot of excitement, a lot of usage around that. So it's interesting to see where that might go, and how people will use that in a professional capacity, and how companies are using it in a professional capacity. So that's a good one to keep an eye on. But I'm as excited as you are to see what the next 12 months holds.
Well, the future is here, and we're living it. And I mean, if people said to us a year ago that we could go into the bank with a mask on us and they'd welcome us and give us money and not end up in prison, we wouldn't have believed them. So Claire, look, I hope that we can have you back again, maybe to have a chat about the future of LinkedIn and how that's progressing, maybe mid-year next year. It's really been a wonderful, wonderful, knowledge-rich session. People have been very thankful on the comments here, and all that remains for me to do is wish you a very, very healthy new year, a happy Christmas, and a prosperous LinkedIn period ahead. So look, folks, we'll be on to you in due course. We'll send out a note in terms of the recordings for this. Thank you for your time. I hope the coffee hasn't gone cold, but that your ears are warm listening to Claire. And we wish you all a very healthy new year. Gramila Magat Galer, and without further ado, we're just coming in under the wire for the time. I'm going to wish you all a great Thursday, and Slán go fóill. All right, Claire, thanks a million. God bless everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.